Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church, and I'm here today to continue talking about the festivals in the book of Leviticus. In fact, I only have one more after today. And this reading today begins the last grouping of the year. And these are probably the most important ones of the year. So let's look at this. From Leviticus chapter 23, we find these words. The Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. On the first day of the appointed month in early autumn, you are to observe a day of complete rest. It will be an official holiday for a holy assembly, a day commemorated with loud blast of a trumpet. You must do no ordinary work on that day. Instead, you are to present special gifts to the Lord." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Be careful to celebrate the Day of Atonement on the 10th day of the same month, 9 days after the Festival of Trumpets. You must observe it as an official day for a holy assembly, a day to deny yourselves and present special gifts to the Lord." As I said, these two festivals begin the last of the year. The Festival of Trumpets. For 10 days, God asked Israel to blow the trumpets and worship him, set things aside. And then on the 10th day is the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement for the Jews is the day where they are to have their sins forgiven by various offerings. And there's a real rich history to that. And someday I might talk about it, but I don't have time today. These 10 days are designed to get people to think about what they have done, to look at themselves, and to prepare themselves for the act of forgiveness. Now, that sounds a little strange to those of us who are New Testament people, where forgiveness is given by the blood of Jesus. But before that happened, you had to go through this thing called the Day of Atonement, where all of the sins from the previous year were forgiven through the sacrifice of two lambs. And each year you had to repeat this because there was no sacrifice, a once and forever sacrifice, like we now understand as followers of Jesus. But for those 10 days, God is asking people, his people, to evaluate their lives. And that might not be a bad thing for you and me. We ought to take some time and evaluate our lives. I know people evaluate their careers to see, how well they're doing, how well they're progressing. But what if we took 10 days solemnly thinking about how are we growing in our walk with God? Are we at the same place we were before, or are we at a newer place, a higher place, a closer place? Now, granted, without the sacrifice of Jesus, we will never become perfect. And that perfection will not come in this world anyway, but it will come. And so God is laying out here a case for man, you, me, the next guy, to think about how have we displeased God? How have we pleased God? How have we been an example to those who don't know him? positively and negatively. What things in our life do we need to change? Now, I don't mean change it so we can earn forgiveness. I'm just saying change it because they're not godly things. Now, I'm sure if you will spend one day doing this, and I don't mean just a couple of minutes, a day, you'll come up with lots of things that you need to change to demonstrate that your life really wants to walk with the Lord. And then at the end of this time comes Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the day when the sacrifice is made. And perhaps we can talk about that at another time. But this was the highlight of the year because at the end of the day, the Jewish people knew that their sins against God had been forgiven. You and I can experience the same thing by confessing those sins and asking Jesus to come into our life and guide us. Now, some of you that I'm talking to may not have done that yet. Some of you may have done it so many years ago, you just take it as a given. And some of you may have done it and maybe you just didn't mean it. I know a lot of churches do confirmation classes, which are when the young people officially join the church and they confirm, that's where the word comes from, they confirm the commitments that were made for them as babies by their parents, confirm those same commitments for themselves. But I know, and you know, that a lot of people go through that process and it's not quite as sincere as it ought to be. So here's what I want you to do. Well, here's what I'll ask that you consider doing. Take some time today. Give yourself a half hour. See if you can't find a half hour somewhere. And sit down and be quiet before God and think of the areas that you need to ask Him to help you improve. Might be just a few. Might be quite a bunch. And for some of you, it might be the first step you ever took to trying to walk with God. The encouraging news is, at the end of the Day of Atonement, Israel was forgiven. At the end of the day of you asking God to forgive you, you're forgiven. And then you get a chance to be something else, something that He would be proud of. Well, think about it. Hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow with another thought. If you have a need or a concern, let us know, and we'll do whatever we can to help meet your needs. Take care. God bless you.